Hey Nate, how's life?
My early startup failures were a way for me to realize that I can't control everything. But ultimately, how did I receive $2 million in funding, fundamentally without a product that was producing revenue?
Last year I had a breakdown. Thoughts telling me I'm lost, getting too loud. Had to see a therapist and I found out something funny's going on up in my house. Yeah, started thinking maybe I should move out. You know, pack my car, take a new route. Clean up my yard, get the noose out. Hang up my heart, let it air out. I've been searching. What does that mean, Nate? I've been learning. Grabbing my keepsakes, leaving my burdens. Well, I brought a few with me. I'm not perfect. Looking at the view like this concerns me. Picking up the cues right. I'm quite nervous. Hating when I lose sight. Life gets blurry and things might hurt me. It's probably gonna be a long journey, but
KJ always had a passion for learning. He's always curious about how things worked and how he could make it better. In high school, KJ played varsity basketball. He's willing to sacrifice a lot of things in order for him to achieve that. He's just an amazing kid.
My relationship with him growing up was really good. He was always motivating me. For those of you who don't know, he was in the hospital for about 2-3 months. The doctors were trying their hardest. KJ kept pushing through it. He kept working out as much as he could once he got out of the hospital to lose all the weight that he possibly could. He demonstrated passion.
Right from the get-go, I knew that KJ was a very special individual. When he first started his YouTube channel, just kept uploading content. He went all in.
KJ is super open and sort of trusting of people. Get into MIT and to be better at basketball and to get great jobs and opportunities and make the most of them. And those are all really important, I think, in his story.
He's always looking at problems and coming up with solutions. In his personality, people want to follow KJ. He has this pleasant demeanor, yet determined mindset that people recognize and it brings them towards them.
As his basketball teammate, I saw him really develop as a person and just grow a lot throughout. He showed a lot of resilience and mental toughness, and I also watched him develop his confidence, and he always remained hopeful and optimistic even when times were a bit tough. Overall, never really saw him super discouraged or defeated.
I'm so excited to build a really great company. I've had some really high highs, but I've also had some really low lows. And in a interesting way, I think everything was supposed to happen the way that it was supposed to be.
KJ and I were best friends at Whitney High School in Cerritos. KJ is basically like a brother to me. We first met at Whitney in 7th grade and we're just super close all throughout high school. And even to this day, while out of high school, we still have a really close friendship. KJ and I were both on the varsity basketball team from sophomore to senior year at Whitney. And being a student at Whitney was already tough on its own because it's a top-ranked academic high school. So it was a really competitive environment, and juggling that while also being on the basketball team had its challenges. First things about KJ is that he was always academics first. From the start, he wanted to go to a great university like Stanford or Harvard or MIT, where he ended up going. But KJ also really loved basketball. He loved watching and playing, and he was really competitive and wanted to win anytime he stepped onto the court. And just all throughout high school, as his basketball teammate, but just also as his friend, I saw him really develop as a person and just grow a lot throughout. He showed a lot of resilience and mental toughness. And I also watched him develop his confidence, and he always remained hopeful and optimistic even when times were a bit tough. Being a basketball player at Whitney, we had a lot of ups, we had a lot of downs, we had some great wins, some tough losses. And it was also a really tough basketball league we were playing in. We were often undersized, and KJ was a starting center. And while KJ is pretty tall in general, he was mostly shorter than the other team's centers. But KJ never backed down from a fight, and he always tried to outwork them no matter how big the other team was. And all throughout high school, he just never got super discouraged or put down. If we had a tough loss, he'd just come back the next day, ready to work. He'd get his homework done, ace a test, come back to practice, just trying to get better as a player. I just think team sports in general teaches you a lot of great life lessons. You could work harder than anyone else. You could give 100% every time, but sometimes things still don't work out, whether it's out of your control or just in general. So you just have to learn how to bounce back and not be discouraged, learn from your mistakes, come back the next day. And KJ always did that all throughout high school, whether things were going great, things were going bad, you just come back trying to grow. So KJ was already pretty good sophomore and junior year as a basketball player, but he hadn't quite hit the heights he wanted to yet. So before his senior year, summer of senior year, he really worked hard on his body and on his skills, just trying to be the best player he could be. And he also got into an engineering program at UCLA that summer. So he was working hard to become a better student and then to become a better basketball player. And by the time the season came around, he was one of the best players in the league. And he was doing that while also applying to top schools, still getting straight A's, juggling a lot of different things at once.
In terms of like memories that stand out to me specifically, KJ's kind of like that glue guy that brings everybody together. Very happy guy. He's just always nice to be able to like talk to him, and he definitely knows how to cheer you up. When I was in junior year of high school, I was diagnosed with cancer, and one of the first people that came to visit me, came to check in on me, was KJ. He like really truly cared, and he would always, like visit me after school, even though I was just stuck at home. He would always visit, like we would hang out, play 2K, and just he would spend some time with me and still make me feel like I'm still going to the school and I'm still connected. He would initiate, like messages in our group chats to make me feel like I'm still there. And I just really appreciated that.
Also, he was just a great motivation to me. Always being there for me, helping me with homework, even when he was busy with homework, when he was in high school and I was in middle school.
In high school, KJ played varsity basketball, varsity volleyball, and at one point he did track and field as well. Imagine doing all those three and had to do academics. He wanted to have a high score in SAT because he knew that it will help him get into good colleges.
Me ultimately getting sick was a way for me to really level set what I wanted to do in this world. The motivation that was backing everything that I did. It was a way to show me in a very real way, a way that would resonate with me, that I'm not immortal, that my time in this world is finite, that I have to make the most of every moment, that if I want to spend time with my family, I have to be deliberate, that if I want to be around my loved ones, that has to be deliberate. And I think it's really made me live life less scared, more confident, almost in a way like relinquishing control, so that I can just let the ups and downs of life happen in the way that they were meant to.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Jason. I'm KJ's younger brother. He was always motivating me. He was always a good example for me to look up to. When I was in high school, he always told me that you can do it, you can do whatever you wish to do, you can dream whatever you want as long as you put in the work. We have always been really close growing up. He always invited me to go play basketball with his friends at the park or the gym. He would always invite me to go to Laker games with his friends, or he would always buy tickets for my family to go to Laker games. He demonstrated passion and determination when he was in the hospital. For those of you who don't know, he was in the hospital for about 2-3 months straight. The doctors were trying their hardest to make sure that he loses as much weight as possible, but it just, at first, for the first couple months, it was just not working at all, because now he's really looking at himself and saying he can really lose as much weight as he can if he just puts his mind to it. He kept working out as much as he could once he got out of the hospital to lose all the weight that he possibly could so that he can look like his old self. Well, yeah, our relationship has always been really good. For all 21 years of my life and for all 25 years of KJ's life, we have always been really close. He has always been there for me. Like I said, he's always helped me with motivation, confidence. Because when I was in high school, I never believed that I can ever go into university because of the grades that I had. But now I'm at the University of Oregon, and I would have to put a lot of thanks to my brother for motivating me that I can do better in school if I just put in the work and study. And I would say that my relationship with KJ in the future will just continue to be like how it is now. We'll always talk to each other almost every single day. I'll even always be there for him if he ever needs help.
That was one of the most stressful times of my life when I saw you going through that, okay? And I knew that when your mom got there, I was praying that she could, just hold herself together. And I told her before she left, I said, look, you cannot walk into that room feeling like things are not gonna be okay. You gotta walk into that room and say, hey, you can make it. This is done, just do what you have to do to get through this, And that's what I prayed about when she told me she was gonna go. I had to stay here because of business things and,
And Jason was here too.
And Jason was here too, so I wanted to be there. But God told me if me and your mom walked into that room together and things didn't go right, it would affect you a lot. And I didn't know how strong your immune system was at that time. And so I figured if she's there, you can see her, you can see the concern. She told you that, we were praying for you. And all I can say is God is good. He told me that everything was going to be all right. That's why I didn't stress on it so much.
My early startup failures, as we can call them, were a way for me to realize that I can't control everything, that I can build great teams, great engineering teams. I can be with my friends. We can have all of the momentum behind us, but ultimately there are certain things that happen that are just simply out of my control. Even with this YouTube channel, there were days where I thought, I'm gonna have 1 million subscribers by next year, right? Then there's the time where my brain wasn't working the way it was supposed to because of all the medication I was on, that my face looked much different than what I was confident putting out. And so the momentum on the channel died and I just didn't really want to post anymore. That every time I posted, then it's just getting a couple hundred views, and that's what I had cared about at the time. Now I'm at the point where if you want to follow this journey, follow it. If you don't, I won't feel any differently. That there's a certain group of individuals who I want to target with my content, and if that's you, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've supported me through this time, and I hope that with you subscribing, I can give you value back and actually share my authentic thoughts with you. I'm going to start a weekly live stream with the rest of my founding team, and so you can get to know them in future podcasts, future vlogs, and yeah, everything's going to be really crazy, but I think it's going to go really great.
I've known KJ since the summer of 2016. The summer right before both of us went into MIT, actually. He had a really motivating way about anything that he did, anything that he really set his mind to, he would, do his absolute best to accomplish and, by the end of it, make it a reality. I think that was really inspiring in that, he believed in himself, as did I, and to see the growth that he was able to accomplish on YouTube, over those couple of years at MIT. Another example that I could think of is through studies at MIT as well. MIT was a very difficult time, and so he was very supportive and encouraging. I definitely had some tough semesters. He did as well, but I think one of the things that never failed to surprise me about KJ was how well balanced, he sort of allowed himself to be, in that he wasn't necessarily, going all in on academics, but really had a good way of being balanced in his lifestyle. So KJ did a really good job about setting his goals and hitting them pretty much on the ball. When he was, thinking about applying to grad school, for example, he knew that he wanted to go to Stanford. And, he did everything that was required of him to be able to, eventually land that. And, build those connections, get those letter of recommendations, be top of his class, be well-rounded, do the research, show all that interest, do the summer program as well when he was doing research at Stanford, just to check all those boxes and, ensure himself that, he would ultimately get accepted. And that's just, another example of one of the things that I do admire about KJ. When he sets his mind on something, he'll accomplish it, and he'll do his absolute best to get that done. When, KJ decided to leave Stanford as well, it definitely wasn't an easy decision by any means, but he knew that he had the skills to be able to, drive a company to success. And now in his current job, more than ever, I feel like I'm seeing that day in and day out, where KJ's performing at like a top level. Even, we're just not even 3 years out of MIT right now. And so, that's very inspiring to see.
My name's Jonathan Sampson. I met KJ in undergrad, so during our time at MIT. KJ is like super open and sort of trusting of people, but I think that speaks to him kind of believing in the good of people and the ability for people to help out strangers, and I think that defines a lot of who he is. Another thing that makes him who he is how hard of a worker he is. And I think the obvious stories we know are him grinding to get into MIT and to be better at basketball and to get great jobs and opportunities and make the most of them, and those are all really important, I think, in his story. I think another thing about KJ is he's incredibly competitive, really passionate. If you know anything about him, he is a big sports guy, right? Playing sports, watching sports, virtual sports, video game type of things. Like, he is like he gets so fired up over stuff like that. So much so that, if a FIFA game doesn't quite go the way he wants it to, it might ruin his entire night. But again, that's just a part of KJ. And I think the part of him that makes him such a hard worker, right? That makes him somebody who's super confident in himself, where it's really important to bet on yourself, right? To be the first person to advocate for yourself, for your abilities, for, you being somebody who can make something happen. That confidence in your abilities, I think it leads directly to how much work and how much of yourself you're willing to apply and put in to kind of get yourself to the other side of whatever it is you're working on. So for me, or the way I've seen it, in KJ, it applies to his YouTube channel and everything that he needed to set up, all the equipment he needed to buy to make quality content to get himself through, and be successful to that. MIT, some of the ventures that have spun out of his time at MIT, other opportunities from MIT, honestly, just life in general. And then just his ability to kind of learn and grow and do things that he wants to do. I think we've seen a lot about kind of who he is and the way he dedicates himself to work and to, being a great team player and to being super competitive and confident. But I think more than anything, and probably the most important thing about anybody is, how they are around people and how they are to be around. And, KJ is, one of the best people I think I've ever met, super comfortable to be around. And just somebody I'm super blessed to be able to call a friend.
KJ is one of my closest friends from MIT. We went through some of our toughest courses together, but it's not the problem sets that I think of when I think of KJ. I think of his entrepreneurial spirit and his amiable personality. KJ and I are always bouncing ideas off of each other, whether they're ridiculous ideas like a phone case that shocks you so you use your phone less, to actual products that we may one day develop. He's always looking at problems and coming up with solutions. And it doesn't matter whether he was formally trained at MIT on it or not. KJ will come up with a solution. He's good at that kind of stuff. And his personality, people want to follow KJ. He has this pleasant demeanor, yet determined mindset that people recognize, and it brings them towards him. I'm very grateful for my friendship with KJ over the last 7 years, and I'm excited to see what he does over the coming years, because I know it will be great.
My loved ones have done so much for me, hasn't gotten lost in my head. Even these anecdotes that you're seeing in video form throughout this video are videos that they voluntarily took when I told them that I wanted to make some sort of documentary about my life. They took time out of their own days to film them. And going much further beyond that, they've been there for me during those lows. They've encouraged me up. If you're a subscriber on this channel, a recent proposal that I had, and next year I'm going to get married to the very person that has helped me through these terrible times. And now I know I have a crew of people who are now my biggest fans when everything's going well.
So essentially, all these experiences have really helped shape KJ into the person he is today. Going into MIT next, I know it wasn't easy going to another top academic school while also starting a YouTube channel and figuring out what his future job prospects are, but he pushed through like he always does, and he thrived at MIT, had a great time there, and when he graduated, he continued to find success wherever he ended up.
As parents, the only thing I could wish for KJ's continued success and happiness. I believe that the reason for KJ's success, both professionally and personally, is because of his good heart. He's a very, very kind person. But in addition to that, what makes KJ a really, really, for me, almost perfect person is he's very smart. He's very good analyzing things, and he doesn't mind working hard. The only thing that I wish for KJ is to be able to continue to do what he's doing currently and balance both professional and personal life and just live a good, happy life because he deserves it.
So the big question and the title of this video, how did I receive $2 million in funding? Fundamentally without a product that was producing revenue, without the general partner of the fund even personally looking at any sort of product demo or pitch. Well, the reason why I gave all that context throughout the whole video is because you need that entire picture to see why this was actually an easy decision on the part of the VC who invested in us. They knew all the context, they knew me. They've followed my journey for a long time. They've known the messaging that I've put across on this YouTube channel. They've seen people shake my hand firmly and tell them that I'm one of the big reasons why they even chose to join MIT in the first place, or to even apply in the first place. Couple that with the experiences that I've had in starting my own businesses on the mentorship side, to working on startups as founding engineers, and growing this YouTube channel to the point where it is today. There's so much wrapped in to me as a person that lends well to being a CEO of a company moving forward. Even take the fact that I was a VC for 7-8 months and got to experience firsthand what VCs look for on the other side and scouting what makes a great founder a great founder. And I can almost just exude those characteristics and take the proper path so that I'm taking one of the more optimal paths for my own company. And so yes, they didn't invest in me because I had an idea that they haven't heard before, or because the product just blew them away, or because of some crazy total addressable market, or even a fancy pitch deck. They invested in me because they trusted in my ability to think problems through critically, to deliver quickly, to recruit an incredible team, and to ultimately just make the proper decisions moving forward, to continue to pivot or double down on ideas that work, or just do anything in my power to make this company successful. But yeah, I did not want to bore you today. I'm sure much more of this story will unfold over the next couple of months, weeks, days, who knows how fast these things go. But if you want to be a part of this journey, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure to keep that notification clicked, and also follow me over on Instagram, where I'll post updates more regularly and more casually. But yeah, that was my story of how I was just a shy high school kid that lacked self-confidence, how today, I'm CEO of my own AI startup, building with some of my closest friends, and really excited about how this journey continues moving forward.